This model is described in a little more detail in our book, The Vowels of Personal Power, and it deals with the stimulus-response sequence that we go through. The more we understand and are aware of that sequence that we go through almost automatically, most of the time automatically, we can adjust our response and be more productive, be more effective with our relationships. Everything starts in terms of our emotion. Everything starts with a trigger. And that trigger generates a thought. Because it's important to understand that no emotion happens without some thought about it. That thought will be and may be always based on some kind of belief that came from early on in our childhood, that people should be kind to each other or people shouldn't brag or whatever. And then when somebody says something or does something, triggers that thought and triggers an emotion and an automatic response. That response could be internal, anger. It could be explosive. It could be some nasty words that you give to another. Think about a simple example of someone cuts in front of you as you're driving down the road. The thought, the emotion that you feel immediately is anger. That person just cut me off. That came from somewhere, a thought and a belief that you shouldn't cut people off in traffic. The response being to get angry and start inside yelling about it. Well, you're not really going to change the other individual's activity. All you're doing is generating some internal concern for you. So what I'm going to suggest is when you feel that emotion coming up, stop it right there. Feel that negative emotion coming up, which could be anger, it could be resentment, it could be guilt, it could be unworthiness, what we refer to as the argue emotions. So stop it right there, go back, and what was the thought that generated? Ask yourself what the thought was. Change the thought. When you change the thought, then have a different response. Example, that person just cut me off. My immediate response is, they're so inconsiderate. Let's reframe that in terms of the thought. That person may be on the way to the hospital to see their child who has just been taken into the hospital having had an accident. You don't know. But by having that thought, your emotion now becomes more relaxed and the response is, hey, go on, go ahead. In the workplace, same kind of thing. Think about the emotions that you have when somebody else speaks, someone that you've known for a long time, for example, and the response that you have is some negative response either internally or even externally. Go back to the thought, change your thought about it, and have a different response. That way you will end up being more effective and productive in your own relationship with yourself as well as with others.